Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 64 of Chance Ball, and this one is titled, What the Frick Frack Knick Knack Paddywhack? You showed much constraint and didn't ask him any more questions until you'd gotten into the car, and then as you put your belt on and he turned the car on, you reached out a hand and placed it on his arm. Babe, you asked, your voice full of compassion. What's wrong? He clenched his jaw again and stared straight ahead, refusing to look at you. Babe, you asked again, worry rising in your voice. Fine, he croaked out, gritting his teeth together. No, you're not. You've been on edge this whole time, ever since the doctor announced the gender. Is that an issue? No. I'm so damn excited. I feel like I'm going to cry. Ugh, he exclaimed, slamming his open palm against the steering wheel. Really? So you're okay? Yes. It's all I've ever dreamed of. You, me, and a daughter. I'm going to show her what a real dad's like. A dad who cares and treats her well and doesn't. His voice trailed off, and you squeezed his arm as tears welled in your eyes. You're going to be an amazing dad. I know it, you said as you tried to reach across to hug him, which proved quite difficult because of your moderate belly in the way, but somehow you managed to give him an awkward hug, and you felt his body shaking with emotion. He managed to compose himself after a few minutes, and you pulled back as his quivering subsided. Then you headed home. You tried not to look at him on the drive home, because occasionally he would sniff and wipe his eyes, and you wanted him to feel like he at least had his dignity intact if you didn't watch, and then you both went back into the house to have some lunch. Time ticked on, and you started to decorate the other room for Baby, slowly filling it with the essentials. Babe, you shouted downstairs one day, should I get the soft swing ultra comfort rocking chair with recliner, or should I get the Mumaway Rock Solid Deluxe with built-in footrest and back warmer? First of all, what the hell are these names? He called back. Why the hell aren't they just called rocking chairs? They are, but they all have other things added. Just tell me which one, you called. Which one's cheaper? He asked, walking out of the foyer area. The Ultra Comfort is $800 and the Rock Solid's $850. I don't frickin' know, they're both insanely priced, he replied. Which one do you want? I don't know, you wailed. I think they're both good, that's why I'm asking you. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, he replied, walking up the stairs to meet you halfway. If you win, you get the ultra blah blah one. If I win, then it's the other one that has the name so long it should be the title of a manga. Okay, he replied, readying your fist. Okay, you ready? Scissors, paper, rock. He flicked his fist up and down and then threw out a flat hand and you threw out a rock. Okay, I win. You get the second one, something about a hard cock. Solid rock, you replied. But I don't know if I want that one, you whined. Friggin' get the other one then, he replied. Doesn't mean to be this hard. But I don't like the shape of the recliner knob, you pouted. Oh my frickin' goodness, he whispered under his breath. You can't be serious. Okay, you know what? This is an intervention. I'm going to randomly order one of them, and when it turns up, that's the one you're going to get, okay? But what if you order the wrong one? You asked with absolute grave concern. What? He just stared at you for the longest time. No, I'm not doing this. He then added after he had mentally tried to figure out what the hell you were on before taking the pamphlet that you had in your hand. No, what are you doing? You wailed, following him downstairs as he marched to the computer and typed something in and covered the screen so you couldn't see. Guess which one I purchased? He asked over his shoulder. It's the Soft Swing Ultra Comfort, isn't it? I hope it is, you said hopefully, yet fearfully. Correct, he said, quickly sliding the pointer over to the purchase button and buying that one. Dabi, in his wisdom, hadn't bought either of them yet. He was just waiting to see if you'd subconsciously pick one over the other, and then he'd buy that one, and his plan had worked perfectly. Thank you so much, you squealed, throwing yourself at him and pushing your 6-month pregnant belly into him as you draped your arms over his shoulders. You're welcome, you weirdo. Now go and take a nap, he said, pulling your arms off his shoulders and turning you around to face up the stairs with a little pat to your backside. I'll be up to tuck you in a second. I'll just finish up payment here. Thank you, Daddy, you said as you happily waddled off back up the stairs to go and have an afternoon nap. That night, after a very relaxing afternoon in front of the TV, you were lying in bed together. You, in a multitude of pillows, and Dabi on the outside just chatting about random things when suddenly a pressing question entered your mind as you were drifting off to sleep. Dabi, would you love me if I lost an arm? You asked in the most serious voice you could muster. Yes, he replied without hesitation. What about both arms? You then challenged. Yes, he replied, a little more cautiously. You're not even thinking about these. You're just saying yes to shut me up, you pouted. Yes, he said confidently. See, you don't actually love me. You burst into tears, absolutely distraught by this self-decided conclusion. What the heck? Listen, you could be a frickin' amoeba for all I care, and I'd still love you, he said, confused by your sudden teary state. You're not taking me seriously, he said in an annoyed tone, still crying. I can't deal with this. The room fell silent, and Dabi was just about to drift off to sleep when you spoke again. Where are the potato chips? You suddenly asked. What in the hell is this? Dabi asked loudly. Yin, it's frickin' 4 a.m. Even Richard Fungus is asleep, and you're crying about being an amoeba and wanting potato chips. But, you half sobbed, half laughed at the Dick Fungus joke he'd made. But chips. Stay here, I'll get you chips. He got out of bed in a huff and marched down the stairs to get them for you. You were still awake, amazingly, when Dabi arrived back in the bedroom, and he handed you the open packet before falling back into bed beside you. He fell asleep to the sound of you crunching away on the chips, and in the morning woke to find you out to it with crumbs all around your mouth and the packet of chips on the floor, with the contents spilled everywhere. This beautiful mess. What the hell am I going to do with you? He leaned down and gently kissed your cheek before walking silently out of the room. He had volleyball practice early that day and arrived with an elaborate handshake to Fueji. Sup? Fueji greeted brightly. Man, I don't know if you have a girl yet, but don't get her knocked up. Mine's a mental case. Bro, she decided to settle with you. She was a mental case before you pumped her up. Shut up. Dabi chuckled, heading into the gym with him. She was asking me stupid hypothetical questions at 4 a.m, then fell asleep eating chips like a friggin' 3-year-old in a high chair. Fueji cackled. Yeah, I think I'll stay single. Wise, Dabi replied, picking up a volleyball from the floor and dropping his gym bag on the side of the court before lobbing the ball up and jumping up to spike it. All of that confusion about your outburst, concerns for the future and lack of sleep angst melted away as his hand connected with the ball. It's almost as good as bending my girl over and railing her from behind, he said in a relieved voice as he watched the ball rebound heavily off the back wall. It's like that, is it? Reggie asked with a smirk. Don't get me wrong, I'm stoked about becoming a dad, but crap's hard at the moment, he sighed, accepting another ball from Fueji's hand. How much longer have you got to go? Reggie asked, watching Dabi smack the ball across the net again. We're over halfway, Dabi replied, opening and closing his hand to enjoy the sting of where he had whacked the ball. Hang in there, bro. You're doing a good job, Reggie said sympathetically, passing him another ball. Make this one hit the back wall like it's trying to escape through it. You got it, Dabi replied with a smirk, taking the ball and jumping it up to hit it with all his might. The ball went up, down, and was shot across the net faster than it ever had before, and Dabi sighed again with relief. Yeah, thanks, Hunter, Dabi said gratefully to his friend. Any time, the grey-haired teammate replied. Time clicked onwards, and everything was going smoothly. You were now close to the 35-week mark and starting to feel the pressure in your lower back while working. Oh, you grunted as you bent down and picked up a packet that had fallen into the aisle. You shouldn't be bending over when you're so heavily pregnant, an older lady gasped as she waddled over to help you. Oh, thank you, but I'm okay, you replied with a smile. No, I won't have it. You're definitely having a girl. I can see by the way you're carrying, and girls will always strain your back, she said knowingly. When you get home, make yourself a milk drink with cinnamon in it, and after each mouthful, breathe deeply and let your breath go with a loud sigh. This will cleanse your body of the tension. Okay, you hummed, pressing your hands into your lower back and pushing on your spine to straighten yourself. Thank you, I'll give that a try. And so, when you finished work that day, and Dabi had picked you up and brought you home, you went straight to the fridge and poured yourself a glass of milk and grabbed a cinnamon stick from the spice rack and sat it in the milk and then placed it in the microwave. What do you want for dinner, baby? Dabi asked, walking into the kitchen with his phone in hand. He paused when he heard the microwave running and looked up at you. Oh, you cooking noodles or something? No, I just heated up a glass of milk with a cinnamon stick in it, you said sheepishly. Just then the microwave finished and beeped loudly. So you turned your attention to it and opened the door and then removed the glass and glanced at Dabi while he watched you quietly. Yeah, this lady said it was good for stuff, you said vaguely, turning to the sink to grab a spoon from the drawer and swirl the cinnamon stick around before removing it. Dabi was still watching with confusion as you removed the stick and sniffed at the glass of hot milk before tasting it gingerly. Hot, you commented to him before taking another sip. Dabi was still looking at you, and you gave him a side glance before you exhaled sharply with your mouth open. This sudden exhale made him jump, and he stepped back a bit with one arm up, ready to fight if something went wild. You took another sip and then swallowed and let out another loud exhale, and he stepped back even further, which made you laugh. What are you doing? You laughed. What in the tribal voodoo shit is this? He asked as he fearfully watched you take another sip and repeat the exhale. I'm cleansing of tension, you said, and did it again. You're going to exhale your soul if you're not careful, he said, well and truly spooked by your performance. Can you just go and leave me be? You asked with a chuckle. I'm doing my thing here. Okay, I'm going to order pizza, and if you and your spirits want to come and join me, I'll be in the lounge room. Yes, Daddy, you replied nonchalantly as you took another sip. Dabi shook his head and left to order pizza while you drank your milk and exhaled into the sink. You did feel better, weirdly enough, but didn't make a habit of doing your weird milk drink breathing into the sink thing when Dabi was around to watch, as he seemed completely weirded out by it. Time continued on, and all too soon the due date for your little one was coming up. Pregnancy hadn't been too bad, but your lower legs were starting to get a little swollen and everything hurt, so you were looking forward to having her. Due tomorrow, Dabi commented from beside you on the lounge. Don't forget to have the baby. Piss off, you grunted with annoyance. You would have loved to have had the baby already, but unfortunately you didn't get much of a say in it, as babies had a habit of coming out whenever they chose. Dabi chuckled and leaned over to give you a kiss, but got your hand in his face the closer his lips got to your personal bubble. Oh, he pouted against your hand. No kiss. Not with that attitude, you replied. Making fun of a pregnant woman isn't going to get you any brownie points. And ain't that the truth? Stay tuned for the next chapter coming tomorrow. I'll see you then.